fail a lot.
Yeah, me too.
So Kim and Corissa, what were some of the earliest challenges that you faced getting into the sport, and how'd you overcome them?
Um, so when I first started learning, I would really struggled to learn how to jerk.
Mhm.
Same.
And when I went to my first seminar, Ken Blackburn, that was the seminar I went to do his like level one IKFF. And so I went to that seminar, and so you're supposed to get certified at that seminar. And he wouldn't finish the certification because he was like, I wasn't jerking correctly.
Hmm.
And I was really frustrated because I wasn't jerking correctly. And so it took me like a while to figure it out. Um, so that was like the first part that I kind of struggled like figuring out like how to actually jerk the bells without just pressing or
Hmm.
doing some form of pressing with a weird trying to under squat,
Right.
that's out of sync.
Right, because the jerk it's essentially a press, but it's not, right? Because we're using mostly leg, well, it's all leg power. You're just launching the bells. Your arms are relaxed all the way up until top fixation, right?
Yeah, I mean, really like the only reason your arms should be getting tired when you're jerking is because you're having to hold the bells overhead.
Hmm.
I mean, that's really what should be tiring your arms out. Maybe more towards the end when you're really starting to fatigue and your legs are not, you're not actually jerking at this point. You're starting to lose some of the power, and you're starting to press a little bit more. But in general, like the only reason your arms should be getting tired is during lockout. And if you kind of watch people like, uh, especially at high level, like that's usually when they're getting to lockout and then they can't hold it, you
Hmm.
know. So there really shouldn't be a press in there.
Hmm.
You can usually kind of tell if people are pressing if if you notice when you're jerking the bell, if you've got a wobble at the top, that's usually because you're pushing through the hand, and especially when you're at put your hands at the corner of the tip of the bell. And if you're pushing through there, it's going to create all the energy to go into that corner of the bell, which is going to create a wobble back and forth. When
Hmm.
you're jerking the bell, the energy itself is in the whole part of the bell. And so the only movement you may see is the whole bell lift up and down
Hmm.
rather than wobble back and forth. But when people are pushing, it always wobbles at the top, back and forth, back and forth. So that's usually a pretty good indicator that they're pushing because people can sheet it really well,
Hmm.
um,
Until they can't.
until the
Right.
bite's really heavy.
I think I'm just a big cheater.
You might be probably not on purpose.
Right. Right. I, Jerk is definitely something I think I need the most work on. Right now, I'm getting
We have a
a big
seminar, if you didn't know.
yeah.
There's a seminar coming up that you could get in on.
There is. Yeah. I do plan on sitting in on that with you guys. And by the way, it's limited seats too, right? We're only doing 20 spots. So yeah, I
Yeah,
That's
think
super
we're
fun.
so yeah, and we'll work on going around with each person to work on, each person's form. There is two of us, so we'll be able to work with each person a little bit independently as well as, go through some of the different programs that we utilize and how we try and keep progressing forward ourselves and
mhm.
stay on track because I know it can be frustrating when you're training and you feel like you're not progressing. You probably, well, if you're training correctly, you probably are progressing. You're just not progressing as fast as you think you should be.
Right.
So,
That's the trick. And I think, like Kim mentioned earlier, the nice thing about the seminar is like we're both going to bring in our own, knowledge and experience. So, like Kim was saying, she might be saying, okay, my hand sits like this, and I'll say my hand sits like this. So we'll be able to share kind of like these little technique tweaks that might work for different people because we are all individual, and it really depends, like, you know, body size, torso length, limb length, all these things will impact how a lift is going to work for you the most efficiently.
Hmm. So what about you, Corissa? What's some of your earliest hurdles that you've had to overcome?
Um, I think, well, both jerk and snatch. So I actually didn't jerk for 2 years, even just teaching kettlebell hard style, because I was like, this is so awkward. I couldn't get the timing, I couldn't get the connection. All I was doing was push pressing. And then my first two competitions, I did one arm biathlon. So I did single arm jerk. And then the second competition, I did one arm long cycle. And in both of those competitions, I had no idea. I was holding rack with my knees bent because I thought I had to like really bring my pelvis forward and bend my knees to get, that arm connection. So it's pretty funny to look back. And so I went to a seminar at Ice Chamber with the Ice Chamber gals that were, you know, the kettlebellers of the time there, and Steve Kong was also there as a coach, and that was the first thing they called out, was like, straighten your legs. So yeah, jerk was something I struggled with, and then snatch, trying to transition from hard style into sport style, because I still tended to like over grip and really kind of rip the kettlebell up overhead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things where I didn't really notice until, you get to like minute 2.5, 3, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, this is not going to work for me. Yeah.
Plenty of calluses you built up, I bet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.